Well, hello students. Today we're going to be talking about the different mounts or the 7 mounts of the hand. We're going to talk about them just in general terms. And then later on, as we progress through the modules, you will be learning many more things about each one of them. But today we're just going to cover the definition and some of the key attributes and possible weaknesses of each one. So I want you to look up your hand. I have used over here my right hand or a right hand, as you can see from the website yourchineseastrology.com, just to show you where the mounts are located. So first of all, what is a mount? So the mounts are the pads of flesh that rise and fall over the surface of the palm. The word mount is derived from mountain, extending the analogy of the hand as God's roadmap. The names of the 7 mounts recall what are commonly called the 7 planets of the ancients and the gods of Greek and Roman mythology. As you can see in the figure, these names also identify each of the fingers that has a mount at its base. The influence of a mount is strong when the mount stands up from the palm high and full. For example, you can see here in this hand, maybe because it is much more denoted, the mount of Venus seems like it's rising a little bit higher. So when you're looking at your hand, if you see one of the pads that seems to be more fleshy, standing out one of the others, then that is to say that mount, it is strong in your hand. Occasionally, like I said, one mount is stronger by far than all the others, and this makes its characteristics dominant in the individual's personality. More often, there are 2 mounts that have equal influence upon the personality of this person, and the person is a combination of the traits of both the mount archetypes. These interesting blends produce endless variations in human nature, and that's why when we're talking about palmistry or chiromancy, it can be an art to discern. Like I said, we're gonna go through the key attributes really fast because over the next 10 modules, you're gonna be learning so much more information about each one of them. So let's look at Jupiter. The Jupiter mount. Some key attributes of the Jupiter mount are Jupiter's most known as the leader. And the key attributes are ambition, leadership, individuality, spirituality, love of nature, honor, confidence, self-assertion, benevolence, concern for humanity, diplomacy, sociability, love of food, marriage-minded. Now, they also have some weaknesses. So if you see somebody with Jupiter's mount raised, much more raised or fleshy than other ones of the mounts, a possible weakness for this personality will be that they are domineering, excessive pride, and they might have the sin of gluttony. Now let's look at the one with Saturn. Now Saturn is denoted by the scholar. And key attributes of Saturn are hardworking, introverted most of the times, prudent, cautious, economical, serious, scholarly, love of wisdom and philosophical or scientific. Most of these personalities are loners, and normally they have a dry sense of humor, which is part of the balance of the wheel of the hand that we will discuss later. What are some of the weaknesses of somebody that has the mount of Saturn higher than the others? Some of the weaknesses are fear, depression, hoarding, extreme introversion, melancholy, repressed, and pessimistic at times. Now let's look at Apollo. Apollo signifies the sun, and most artists, that's why it's called the artist, Most artists might be creative personalities and have a higher amount of Apollo. Whoever has a high amount of Apollo are hardworking, creative, spontaneous, charming, very extroverted and optimistic. Definitely a risk-taker, a fun personality, very loving, happy, contented, talented, glamorous, very entertaining, charismatic, lover of beauty and color, very versatile in his environment or her environment, and of course, adaptable, intuitive, and sometimes, and most of the times, very lucky. Now, what are the weaknesses of somebody that has the amount of Apollo higher up than the others? Some of the weaknesses are they might have quick temper, gambling, or be changeable and fickle, emotions, and egocentric. A lot of actors and actresses might have a high amount of Apollo. Now let's look at Mercury. Mercury is called the communicator. So if somebody has a higher amount of Mercury, this person is definitely a communicator. Is a skilled communicator, mentally and physically active, very industrious, and normally a problem solver, but also a person that has, it is money conscious, sometimes shrewd with money. It is business-minded, very scientific, very family-oriented, very diplomatic, and it has an instinctive knowledge of human nature that other signs or other parts of the hand don't have. Now, some of the weaknesses of somebody that has amount of Mercury very high up are they tend to be workaholics, manipulative, dishonest, and a schemer when we're talking about negative traits. Now let's go on Mars. Now sometimes it can be a part of the hand that's more what is called inner Mars or outer Mars, as you can see in the picture. We're gonna refer to here, since we're talking in general terms, on both parts. So either you have a higher amount of inner Mars or higher amount on outer Mars. This applies to you. We'll later see that there is high and lows for Mars, and also, as you can see, the plane on Mars. But for now, I'm just going through generalization. So Mars is called the warrior. So you are a person that is extremely brave, courageous, very energetic and sexual, very assertive, direct, honest, and determined. Resiliency is something that you're proud of, but you're loyal and passionate, very persevering and athletic. You're normally full of stamina. You are the warrior. Now, some of the negative aspects or possible weaknesses of Mars, the warrior, it is when you become overly forceful, too intense, sexually compulsive, or aggressive. Now let's look at Luna. Luna, which means the moon. Those people that follow or have the amount of Luna very high up tend to be visionaries. They're imaginative, intuitive, psychic, at times sensitive, very mystical and introverted. They like solitude. They love to travel. They're unpredictable at times, and they have command of the language. Now, what are some of the weaknesses that come with this? Well, sometimes, of course, they are impractical dreamers. They have excessive imagination and a tendency to lie at times. Not being narcissistic, but just a little tendency to lie. Being cool or remote. Sometimes flaky or lazy, restless. Changeable. I think it goes very well with people that have a higher amount of Luna high up or very fleshy. And sometimes selfish. And finally, we're going to talk about Venus. Venus, of course, the term or the amount has to do with the lover. So, If you have the Venus man high and fleshy, you're a person that is loving, warm, tender, very sympathetic to others, very joyful, compassionate, generous and optimistic, and normally a happy person. You enjoy being graceful and you have an extreme love for beauty and pleasure. You're very passionate and selfless, very nurturing, like a mother. Believe in the brotherhood of men in general and at times be very sexual. Now, what are some of the weaknesses for the Venus, the lover? Well, negative traits associated with this is sometimes you can be lazy, passive, subservient, hedonistic, and sometimes have difficulty saying no. Well, I hope that you enjoying to know just some of the generalities of each one. Just make sure that you're looking at your either right hand or left hand. Since we have the right hand on the picture, you can follow along to know some of the generalities. And like I say, in the next modules, we're going to learn much more about each one of the hands, the lines, and we're going to talk about major lines and how to read both hands during a reading. I'll see you in the next module.